Alright, so welcome back, Smile Jammers. And just a little correction before we go. It's not Dominica that the volcano erupted back in my primary school days. It was Montserrat. So just a correction there. So back to the show. There is a crisis all around us, especially now more than ever, starting with COVID-19. But it is advised that we should never let a good crisis go to waste. How is this even possible? Well, Craig Duncan, transformational trainer, helps us out this morning and talks us through why it's important to not let a good crisis go to waste. Craig, good morning.
Good morning, Dwayne. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Debbie's here with us.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
Hey, Debbie. Love to hear. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you. In fact, you know what, Craig?
Yes.
You know, this was right after being a new mommy. I don't think it's a crisis per se. But, you know, I've always wanted to cut my hair, and I found just the right reason to do so because now I had another human being to take care of. And so the easy thing to do was for me to take advantage of it and cut my hair. So maybe I'm on the right track?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
You're on the right track. I think oftentimes people think crisis, before you say anything, crisis as a negative thing. But it actually says an opportunity.
Yeah.
So why
Something happened there, present an opportunity. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Why do people, when you said that, just now about crisis and it being negative, why does that word crisis ring negativity in the ears of anyone who hears it?
I don't know, I guess the years, so words have meaning, right? And they have a history based on how they've been used. And I think oftentimes we just think, you know, the world is going to end as a crisis, you know? Whatever that thing is, it's devastating. It's the end of something. It's horrible. And so once you have that particular meaning, then that's how the word and the world of that word occurs for you.
Yeah. You know what, Craig, oftentimes even when in a situation of crisis, your first thought is not to find the opportunity. Your first thought is to respond. Not even a thought, but the natural thing to do is to respond, to acknowledge that this is something that's unexpected that's happening to you. So how do you really pause to say, all right, this is happening, how can I create an opportunity from it?
Well, I think, you know, with anything, there's always a fire drill. I'm sure you probably have one at your company, right? And if you're flying, there's a drill as well, just in case something happens. So I think we need to start paying attention to how we'll react to something before it even happens. There's a simple one called HALT. Angry, so it's HALT. So if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, you should stop. Never go shopping when you're hungry. Don't have conversation when you're angry. And if you're lonely, do something about it. And if you're tired, get some rest. So these are things that you practice before the time. Can otherwise, you don't even have time to respond to the situation. You become a response. Like you know, if something catch you off guard, and you're no longer able to deal with it. So you want to practice, if something happened, there are people, there are situations that you will actually employ to get you present and not just being a victim of the circumstance in that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And when you speak about victim of circumstances, a lot of times people, their initial reaction is to survive when there's a crisis presented to us. So they think about survival, but they don't think about the steps that you take to survive. They just go to instinct.
Right.
How do you...
100%.
Yeah, so what steps would you advise for anyone who is facing a crisis or will face a crisis? What are some steps that they could take to prevent them from just reacting as opposed to being proactive?
Well, there are a couple of things that I practice and people can find your own. One is that you stop. You know, a couple of things that I do some weird things. I will actually wiggle my toes around in my shoes. That's something I do. I sometimes hold on to a cold thing. If I can find a rail or something, I hold on to that. If I could feel my seam of my pants or something, just to get myself disconnected from here to my environment, to my circumstances. Then there's certain practices that I have, like this too shall pass.
Yeah.
This is not the end of the story. This is a chapter in a lifetime of story. And so once I do those particular things, and you can develop your own, it gives me space, or it gives me an opportunity to then figure out how can I then deal with this. And so I have a list, people that I know are role models or mentors that I know if I have a conversation with them, they will not tolerate me being a victim of the circumstances, but they will offer something that will actually have me start thinking inside of what would be beneficial to the situation.
Yeah. You know, Craig, especially now in this pandemic, we have seen several types of opportunities, pop up for lots of people. People have formed businesses, they've changed their lifestyles, all of these things, but it's still sometimes hard to say, how can you find an opportunity in a pandemic that's affecting so many people? So let's talk about finding opportunities now in this pandemic that can really better our lives for the future.
Well, the first place to start is a mindset. You have to say, what kind of opportunities can I find? I'm going to give you a simple example. If you ever try to, something gets stuck in your teeth, do you notice that if you want to get it out, you start looking at a business card, you rip the business card. If you're outside, you find a piece of twig, a piece of branch, and you start looking for a way to get it out, and you don't stop until you get it out.
That's true.
So in a similar sense, we want to start allowing our brain to think, what are the opportunities? Who can I talk to? See, once we start engaging our brain that way, it's, I don't know if you guys used to watch MacGyver. MacGyver only had one knife. And Jamaica would say, take your hand, turn, make fashion. But you can only start taking your hand, turn, make fashion when you start looking around your environment to see what is there, who is there, who do I know? What are some things that I have available that I haven't been thinking about? And then the rest, kind of like, I don't want to use the word magic, kind of miraculous, those particular things start becoming available to you that you never thought about. Or maybe somebody even call you, or somebody that you haven't thought about in a long time in your network that may actually have an opportunity for you. But it starts with stop being a victim of the circumstances and being open to the opportunities that might be there.
Yeah, so my question now, how does one get to that point? Because it is easy to say to someone, don't be a victim of your circumstance, but how do they get to that point? Because I can say to anybody, don't be a victim because, things could be worse, but it may be the worst for them. How do we get them from that state of mind to the state of mind where they believe that they can come out of their circumstance?
Well, at that point, I think what we start telling people is like, we have to become aware. That's the first thing. If you're not aware, if you can't stop and think, and again, which is why sometimes by yourself, you cannot do that. So who are the people around you that you consider are friends that you can go to? Mm-hmm. That is very important, because in that moment, you're going to need a hand to pull you out of whatever that circumstance is, just because maybe you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the capacity in that moment. But you would have actually practiced yourself or tell yourself that your emergency exit will be to contact, your pastor, somebody that you look up to, your mom, your friend, your aunt. The person that in the environment will remind you about your ability.
Yeah.
Did I answer that question?
Yeah. Craig, this is very interesting stuff, and I think more than ever, transformational trainers and coaches are super important, because transformational coaches are like therapists as well, right?
Well, it's a little bit different. So with therapists, we look a lot about the past and we try to figure out what happened in the past and we go digging. Transformation will do that, but at the same time, what it does, it allows you to look forward. Here's where we are. Here's where you want to get to. What are some of the things that we're going to use to get there, regardless of what happened in the past?
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I love that clarification. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. Wow, guys, there's always an opportunity to do things just a little bit differently, and things that you did not think you could do before. Now, Craig Duncan, thank you so much for being here with us this morning, transformational trainer. And if they wanted to get in touch with you, they could follow you where?
I'm on Facebook. I'm not big on social media, but that's a good place to find me, which my son tells me I'm an old person. That's why I'm on Facebook.
And when you said MacGyver, that's when I knew you were.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of did.
You know what? Thank you. Yes, MacGyver. Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. One quick break, and we'll be right back.